What is going on, everybody? DJ Minds here, and I have to say, it is a great day. Any day we get to talk about Flux is an awesome day for me. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Flux. So thank you to everyone that actually just watched our viewer call-in this last Friday with Hawk and I, and we were honored from the legends themselves over there at Flux. They surprise called in. We had Dan Keller, the co-founder of Flux himself, call in, and Jeff, like from Flux. That's incredible, man. And you don't see a lot of coins doing that, just coming in, you know, to an average guy like me and showing love and talking about the coin. And that call went so well that they actually hit me up and were like, dude, did you know you're not even on the official Flux pool? And I was like, I didn't even know there was an official Flux pool. The website is fluxpools.net. I've actually been using this now ever since we had that discussion with Flux on Hive OS. It's pretty simple to do. You do have to add in a custom port. Very simple, right? I should be showing you that right now on the screen. So over at FluxPools, they actually have a weekly Flux lottery. And so this replaces the 1K a month, right? Before they were giving out $1,000, but now they decide to break it down for more miners so that more people could win Flux. 5 miners each week will win $50 in Flux, but you do have to have a 95% uptime required. This will be running for 12 months. There is 0% fees and also 0% fees on the parallel assets until October 5th. The uptime loyalty program is forever. There will also be a weekly loyalty for those that have 97% uptime and up. Amount is based on hash with max at 4 flux per 1 kilosol. There will also be a bi-weekly loyalty for those that can keep a 99.5% uptime, and that starts very soon. The amount is to be determined. All right, so let's get into our very first Flux rig here. And what I want to do in this example is show you 6 of the exact same cards. In this example, it's 3070s, all ASUS Strix. But why I want to do this is because I want you to understand how to overclock on Flux. Not saying I'm an expert. Maybe in the future, all of these will be obsolete and people will find it better. But in my personal experience, playing around with this, these are the best overclocks, and this is the method that I use. Okay, so we're going to play around with 6 different examples. And so far, I think that GPU 2 and GPU 3 are best for me. Maybe that's because of the Samsung memory. Always consider the type of memory that you have. But a 250 on the core, 0 on the memory for a lot of my 30 series is just perfect. You know, sometimes you have to play around with this and make the core 200 or 150, just kind of move around anywhere from 50 to 100. And I don't really like adding to memory. And also something really important to note for my situation, I like to cap it out at the power limit that I would never want to go past on Ethereum, right? Because if we're going to go from Ethereum, like pretty much everybody is, Ethereum to a different algorithm, I don't ever want to use more wattage than that. So that's getting me 60.25 solutions, and the exact same overclocks with pretty much the same card is getting me 61 solutions on the other one. I'm good with that. What to Mine says we should be getting about that, but on What to Mine it says you should be using 160 watts. So yeah, 130 watts capped out, really good. So let's look at some other things like Ethereum, right? If you're used to using Ethereum, people will say like lock the core, man. A very popular one is 1200 on the core, especially for the 3070. What this does is it lowers the wattage absolutely to 103 watts. However, the GPU doesn't perform very well. As you can see in my example, we're only getting 45 solutions. And to me, that's a huge waste for something like a 3070. I mean, I think the 3070 is pretty much one of the best cards around. And so you wouldn't want to waste it on something like that. So what if we did 1200 on the core, again, locked, and then added 2000 to the memory? And both of these are 160 on the power limit, by the way, guys. And still, 46 souls or 46 solutions, that is not worth your time. So let's look at this bottom 2 examples here. What if I did core plus memory, and then I also added in the power limit of 140, right? So higher than Ethereum. I'm getting about 2 souls, maybe 3 souls from the other GPU on number 4 here. I don't think that's worth it for 10 extra watts. And you might be thinking 10 extra watts is not a big deal. Well, I have like around 150 to 170 GPUs all on at one time, right, between my other farms. And 10 watts, let me tell you, that adds up a lot on your electric bill. The fact that we are in a bear market and that it could potentially get 10 times worse very soon, for me, electric rate matters a lot. I don't even have a good electric rate. Maybe if you have like free power, awesome for you, man. Run this baby to 150 power limit and you can definitely get 65 souls or whatever. But I don't think that adding to memory has been really good in my experience, at least for a 30 series. And then if I do 0 core and 0 memory at 140 power limit, once again, still below 60. So I really think that the GPU number 2 and GPU 3, which is just playing around with the core just a tad and leaving the memory alone, is awesome. One warning that I have for you: every time that you're playing around with an algorithm like Flux or something like that, please always use the power limit, man. If you come over here and set this bad boy to 0 and you have 250 on the core, I guarantee you it's going to try to push that TDP of your card. The TDP is the maximum wattage it can use. You can come over here, man, and if you don't, if you got too many cards on a PSU, it could cause issues. It's going to cause increased rates on your electric, of course, heat, but more importantly, safety, man. It is not exactly the same as Ethereum, so please always power limit your cards. All right, moving forward, so now we're going to get into my 1660 Supers, 1660 Ti, 3060 LHR, not that that matters much, and a couple 3060 Ti's. So firstly, the 1660 Super, the top one, that's actually an MSI, and the one right below it where it says GPU 1 right here, this is actually BIOS modded for, I was using it on Ethereum, and it does seem to have helped here. I mean, maybe that's just my experience. Maybe this card's just way better. It is Micron memory. That could also be it. So 1660 Super without a BIOS mod, not super happy with. A little bit higher wattage there. 100 core on both of these. Still kind of learning with the 1660 Super. But according to What to Mine, we are on target. Again, not the greatest source, but just to put it out there. The 3060 right here, we're getting just shy of 40 souls. I definitely can get 40 souls if I put this to power limit of 130, but I don't feel like it's worth it, man. Like I said, I'm trying to save 10 watts on all of these if I can. 5-10 watts really adds up instead of getting a little bit more souls. I don't know. For me, it's not really worth it. So here is a Founder Edition 3060 Ti. We're getting 53 souls. That is at 130 watts. That's 250 on the core. 1660 Ti, and you're seeing definitely an increase because this one is 27.8 souls over the 22 souls of the 1660 Super. Now again, this is Hynix versus Micron, so not exactly a fair comparison, but you're seeing a difference for sure in the Supers to the Ti. So if you were to get one, I would recommend the Ti version over the Super for Flux, at least in my experience. And then finally on this rig, we have a 3060 Ti. This is again a Founder Edition, not doing quite as well. 250 on the core. That's at 130 watts. All right, a card I have not shown you yet is the RTX A2000. Now, we all know, everybody was raving about this card, man. I know what I was talking about. It's one of the most efficient cards ever, at least on Ethereum, and I'm sure on Ergo it's pretty good as well. On Flux, yeah, you know what? It's not too bad, actually. 29.77 souls, so pretty similar there. I mean, you're getting 27.8 on the 1660 Ti for 77 watts. And yeah, this is about 68 watts, so a little bit more efficient, actually. So pretty decent on Flux so far from what I can see. Now, if I could push this up to 70 watts, I guess I could raise the core a little bit more. I'll keep playing around with that, but 250 right now for that card. And you're seeing more 3060 Ti's. These Zotacs here, man, wow, I hate these cards. I just do not like these cards on Ethereum. I definitely do not like them on Flux. 46.95 souls. I actually had to drop the core from 100 or from 250 to 100 for whatever reason, man. These Zotacs just kept crashing over and over, and it's driving me nuts. They're in great conditions. The temperatures are very cool. I don't know, man. So there's some more 3070s if you wanted to see those. But for my 3060 Ti's, man, if I can hit around 50 souls, I'm pretty happy with it. As many watts as we could possibly save, I'm good with that. Moving on to the A4000s, I have two on this particular rig that we're playing around with. This top one is using 130 on the power limit, and the second one is using 140. So hopefully this gives you a good oversight of what you could possibly expect. And I would say 130 watts is probably the better choice here. Now, I probably need to add some more thermal paste or whatever. I've been really busy. So we're getting 58.8 for 130 watts, or an extra 10 watts for really just over one, maybe two-ish souls, depends on the time of day for the algorithm. So I don't think it's worth it at all to go for 140 watts. I'm just going to go ahead and change that right now so I don't forget for later. And with Flux, what I've noticed, you want to refresh the rig. So right now, if I just go ahead and look at it, you're going to think like, oh, it's going to be instant. Well, it's probably not going to be instant the same way with Ethereum was. So go ahead and refresh it. Now, the 2080 Super, this is a card that a lot of people love. I know the 2080 Ti is the much more preferred one. So far from what I'm seeing, I also use the Hobbyist Miner community page on this. Shout out to the Hobbyist Miner. This is in his Flux overclocking video. I'm noticing that it's only getting around 65 souls, and that's where other people are getting for 160 watts. I mean, honestly, I would rather use my 3070 and hit 60, or my RTX A4000 for 140 watts and hit in the 60s then use 160 watts. And some people are pushing these to 165, 170 watts just to get in the 60s. Ooh, I don't know, man. Maybe the 2080 Ti is a lot better because that's what people say. But for me, the 2080 Super isn't making a whole lot of sense. Let me know if you disagree. I could probably raise a little bit more here on the core, just doing 100 on the core, but I was having some issues with it. Let me know if you have any improvements for that. Here's another rig full of 3060 Ti's and then one 3070. Maybe you have this particular card and maybe the memory is the same, so feel free to pause the video on there. But same thing, 3070s are doing much better than your 3060 Ti's for the same wattage. And I did experiment on this particular rig with 125 on the power limit, as to oppose of, you know, the other ones I've been showing you, which were 130 on the power limit. So hopefully that helps you and lets you know, man, these 3070s are pretty beast right now. A new card that I haven't shown you today is a 3090. It's not actually new to my farm, but new for this video. 101 souls, and I believe you're only supposed to be getting in the 90s according to what to mine, and that's at 295 on the power limit. Just 250 on the core. Couldn't be happier. I mean, you know, I could be happier if it was more efficient, but for a 3090 breaking 100 souls at just 295 watts, I mean, it's not bad. It's definitely not groundbreaking by any means, especially when your 3070s are hitting in the 60s. Your 3090s only hitting 100, 102. I can definitely push it up higher if I wanted to. But yeah, I mean, it's a much smarter choice probably to just buy a couple 3070s or whatever. But hey, it is what it is. This is what I'm getting. And here's another EVGA for the Win 3. And I only went 290 on the power limit. So both pretty much the same cards and almost the same conditions and everything. And it just comes down to silicon lottery. This one's using less wattage, performing even better than the one that I just shown you. Hey, you never know what you're going to get, but you can expect around that 100, 101, maybe even 102 souls or around 290 or 295 watts. So over at FluxPools, here is my pool right now. The current hash rate is down just a tad because I was actually using this GPU and I had to restart a couple of rigs. They've been off for a little bit so I could video edit. But yeah, around 2.41 kilosouls. I see this go up to 2.5. Even this morning, it was up to 2.6, but somewhere in that ballpark. I've been doing this for a couple of days now. I've made 31 flux. The estimated rewards is 24 flux. I'm assuming that's 24 hours. I'm not really 100% sure, but somewhere in there, I also have 2.9 flux that are waiting for me. And yes, obviously, guys, with Ethereum merge going away, more and more people are coming off of Ethereum. That's the bottom line. And, you know, I was probably making double the flux as far as the coin itself, not so much the dollar value, but double the flux just 4 or 5 days ago than I am right now. And if you think that's bad, trust me, it's not just a flux problem. You're going to see this with everything proof of work. It doesn't matter if it's ETC, Neoxa, Ravencoin, Ergo. It honestly won't matter. We're definitely going to see some hard times for sure. We're just a few days away from the Ethereum merge. Let me know in the comment section below if you'll be using this pool or whatever pool that you have chosen. I love every single one of you. Again, thank you so much to the Flux team, man. That was really nice of you guys to hit me up to come on the show. And then, you know, to let us know about the official Flux Labs. So it says Flux Labs, but fluxpools.net pool. I'm very happy about it. It's easy to use. I love every single one of you. I hope you have a great day. Make sure to check out the links in the description below, Discord, Twitter, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. DJ Minds signing out.